This episode is brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. My name's Nick Rynne. This is the Friday Teams, joined here today by Xavier Ellis and Ryan Daniels. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Well,
You've got a bit going on, Rhino.
I do have a bit going on. We've got an extra audience member, live studio audience. My son is here because he's apparently sick, although he doesn't seem to be sick.
What was the self-diagnosis?
Sore throat.
Sore throat.
Got a sore
right.
throat.
Yeah.
Which has managed to potentially also get him out of Little Athletics tomorrow, even though, as I've highlighted, he seems fine.
It's funny. I remember I brought one of my boys in here one day, and that meant they didn't go to daycare, wherever they were going. They just got to hang with me.
Yeah.
And they hadn't shut up for 3 years of their life.
Yeah.
But the fact that they knew they were with me, and the alternate was I'd just send them back to school or wherever they were. I've never seen a bigger angel than when I was at work. I sat there with an iPad, gave them a little lolly, and they were just like, I cannot muck this up.
Because they know the conditions.
Correct. And right now, Dad thinks I'm sick, so I need to just keep this straight.
I get to at least 2 o'clock before I can go back to just being difficult.
Started feeling better. Might get
And how do the conversations at home go when it comes to when someone's sick? There's a sacrifice from a parent.
Someone's got to sacrifice.
How'd that go?
And I will preface this by saying that Kelly is the main parent.
Yes. The primary carer, we call her. I'm the primary carer.
Yeah, I would say she's absolutely primary carer. I come in for
I get it.
stuff.
I get it.
But on this occasion, it is me. So Kel has decided. Last night she said, have you got, what does your day look like tomorrow? I said, well, I've got radio in the morning, and then I've got to write a column, and then I've got a podcast. So bit on until about 11:30, then maybe I'm freed up a little bit. And I said, well, why? What's going on? She's like, I think William might be sick. I was like, okay.
He went early on the plan.
Mate, he's good. He went very early. Anyway, so then the shift got cancelled. So my wife was going to work.
Right.
Her shift got cancelled. So I'm
Convenient.
in the clear.
Helps that Ryan rang and said you rang the school that was meant to be. Said she's actually sick too.
Everybody's sick. Might be COVID.
Yes, so the shift got cancelled. But then this morning I get another text saying, hey, can you still do the William stuff? And I'm like, hold on a minute. Are you working or not?
Are you working or are we Pilates?
If you're working, I'm in.
Yeah.
If this is a Pilates thing, I'm out.
and I said to you, how's that conversation going to go? And old chicken shit said it's not going to go. Win, lose or draw.
You got to understand, you operate in a different space to the rest of us with this. Somehow you get your family to go and do things without you.
Oh, this is really sad news for me. They're actually away next Thursday as well.
Surprise.
You can tell by the tone the question, like, what does your day look like tomorrow? There's two different ways they can say it. And sometimes you hear it and you're like, I'm gone.
You're stuffed at that point.
On the flip side, and we'll get to the footy in a sec, as the primary carer of our relationship, I tell you what really pisses me off, really, really pisses me off.
Go.
Is when I have pickups. I do pickups. I do every pickup. I'm the pickup man.
Every school pickup.
Every school pickup.
Every day. Okay.
Yep. On the calendar, on my daily calendar, which I don't have, but in my mind, pickup.
Yep.
Bang.
Yep.
When Em has the audacity to text me at 2:40, I'll do pickups today.
Oh.
I'm like, how about telling me that at 8:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
And maybe I would have done something for myself.
Bit of golf.
Like played a round of golf or caught up with some friends or who knows, gone to Rottnest for the day. I would have done, instead I'm sitting at home looking at the clock going, I can't do anything because I've got to do pickups.
And
then she comes in like she's mother of the year. I'm like, mate, my blood is boiling. I could have been having 120 at Cottesloe Golf Club today.
Yep. But instead you were sitting waiting, ready to go.
I'm thinking about what little snacks could I make in the afternoon for the kids and dinners. Oh, God help me cook dinner again, every night. Anyway, Em doesn't listen to this, so bugger it, she can have it.
I don't think any of our wives listen to this show.
No, we don't really get that support.
Eagles have just announced a couple of new contracts. Tim Kelly, 2 years.
It's probably not on much, right? Like, who are they paying? After McGovern exits and
there's going to be money. There's money there. There's plenty of money at West Coast.
That was my point on Darcy Cameron last night. I was just asked, what's he worth? And it's like, not even what is he worth. The money at West Coast is...
Yeah.
There
has to be money there. Like, if Darcy Cameron, then I know that Collingwood are desperate to keep him, but if it was like, $1 million for Darcy Cameron, you're like, so? Like, the money... the money's irrelevant.
And you could front end that stuff as well. So that
Yeah.
later
So,
on-
yeah.
Considering they got
So-
Yo, McGovern would be getting paid. So
Yeah.
Kelly on a new deal wouldn't be much.
They'd be squirreling away every dollar for Harley.
Yeah.
The only thing about the Eagles contracts at the moment, and I tip my hat to the players. Like I'm obviously more player.
Yeah, get your money when you can.
I'm rooting for players.
Yeah.
But I just don't see how some of the length of contracts have been given out. And again, I'm so happy for these people. These are friends.
Yeah.
But like Duggo, Triple M Duggo, 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Pump for him.
Great.
Elliot Yeo, 3 years. I don't think Elliot Yeo knew he was getting 3 years.
Yeah. No.
I think he was like, well, gee, if we can...
That fell into the lap.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. Like 2 years for Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
If you go one, what does it matter?
Yeah, he probably should be on one.
But, but again, I'm all for the players to go lengthy.
Yeah.
Like,
And we don't know-
But you also don't. You know, I don't like the long contracts.
Yeah.
But I'm also tip my hat to the players who get them.
And
But-
also, we don't know, as Nick said, we don't know the money.
no, of course.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't think, but it's probably
I just feel like
might be-
those contracts over the period of West Coast have had the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Like lengthy contracts and the duration of these contracts are a reward.
They
for-
haven't had too many, 6, 7 years, though.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. But they haven't
been doing that.
No, of course they haven't. But they haven't had the players who are doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. Last night's game was
Wicked.
very, very good. Great football. Awesome to watch. Little side stories everywhere.
Well,
Fantastic.
let's just quickly go through the side stories.
Go.
What?
So
Kane and Bevo?
Kane and Bevo was the main course. We spoke about Bailey Smith and a couple of barbs about Ballarat and sticking fingers. Bailey Smith's a bit of an antagonist, but he's never been one for big hits and and fights and he's just a good, nice footballer.
Yeah.
Marcus Bontempelli is probably the classiest man in the competition.
Yeah.
Even though he said something back which was a Marcus Bontempelli remark in itself, like a gentleman manner.
Yeah.
The Bevo v Kane.
Yeah. Not
It's
quite as
it's what we needed.
Yes, it is.
And I heard Nick Rynne on Triple M in Melbourne say it was a lot more just fresh air, but it was the moment more than if I'm going at you and we're going back and forth really aggressively with words,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're at it. But if we just stared at each other
Yeah.
and slowly
Yeah.
walked towards each other, that's far worse in my eyes. There's so much more building and brewing in that. That was
Bevo's
unbelievable.
Terrifying. He's terrifying. He's a big dude and he's got scary eyes.
Yeah.
I
I love Bevo. I knew him at Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Matt Spanger's gone with him from Hawthorn. Spanger's a good friend of mine. And I didn't see the scary side of Bevo.
Senior coaching turns people crazy.
Like I remember doing Kokoda with him, I was saying this morning on air, and he was crook as a dog, so sick, Bevo. And every time I nearly fell off the back of the mountain, I'd just get this hand on my ass just to push me back up the hill. He was lighting my chauffeur up this monster hill, just kept pushing me up. So I never, but those, you could just see the,
Oh, yeah.
but they've all got it. They've all got it.
This is what Kane has to live with now because he's going to, there's going to be clubs, there's going to be multiple people at clubs that just don't want him around.
Look, I feel horrible by saying I feel like the length of contracts are a bit long at West Coast.
Yeah.
I feel horrible saying that. You know what I mean? And that's about as far as I go with anything that's going to cause grief.
I mean, you wait till your next mini handshake. He's going to crush the bones.
Oh, no, I saw him on Wednesday, yeah.
Essendon and Richmond, $1.27 the Bombers. Richmond are $3.70. That is tonight, the Dreamtime game at the G.
Have you noticed there's... sorry, you keep going.
Guelphy, Gresham, debutant, Angus Clark, Dylan Shield dropped, Al Hawley dropped as well. Campbell Gray, there's nothing really significant for the Tigers except the outs.
Yes.
Noah Bolter, Toby Nankervis, Tom Lynch. That's
not
good.
Noel Bolter curfew.
The one that stares out like balls on a bulldog is Noel Bolter out with
personal.
bail. Whatever. What is it?
Post curfew.
And Noah Bolter, in fairness, he just adds that extra stability down there. When you've got Vlosten, I know Jaden Short's not playing, but a bit of Short, bit of Bolter. There's one more experienced head down there.
Vlosten?
Vlosten. But even like McIntosh off the wing gets down there a little bit. Like he does add a bit of stability. I think Essendon, even though they were deplorable last week, can do a fair number on Essendon tonight.
So when Lynch goes out with the head knock and Bolter can't play because of the bail,
What a word.
is that when they decide we probably can't win this, so let's rest Toby now?
Well, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you'd think that
'Cause wouldn't
you've lost your full back, you've lost your full forward,
Yeah.
and you're an underdog as it is. And to be honest, they've ticked a lot of boxes, Richmond, this year. So, like, it's not like Adam Uze sitting there going,
Yeah,
but they
I know
would
what
see
you mean.
Essendon as winnable.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But now it appears
So is he
based
rested?
on the yes.
Okay.
It appears based on the team they've named that they're taking a knee. I'm not saying
Yes.
they will, but like they've given themselves less of a chance of winning by taking Toby Nankervis
Only
out.
thing I'll think you can think as well, who rucks for Essendon?
Yeah,
Todd.
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're gonna, if you're
But isn't
gonna,
that again
no, I get it. No, but
advantage?
yes, absolutely. But if there's going to be an area that we probably won't get slaughtered in by letting him sit down for a week, and it's Toby Nankervis. He's probably got 8 torn hamstrings, a torn calf, a
he's
bruised. He's probably got something.
This is very Essendon. Oh, they just get like a free kick now.
Yeah, they'll win this by.
Yeah.
The line's 22.5
They were,
points.
Essendon maybe finals.
They'll win by more than 22.5. I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd be surprised.
If they don't, they've really failed.
Yeah.
Carlton $1.70 favourites against GWS Marvel Stadium. Doherty back for the Blues, De Koning back, Akers back, Fogarty and Harry O'Farrell is the debutant. The only big outs, probably Silvani. Elijah Holland stepping away from footy for a while. Lekalia and Harry Rouston
Lekalia's
are in
playing.
for GWS. Finn Callahan is the big out for the Giants.
Not to be insensitive around Elijah. What's happened now?
I don't
I've
know
missed
the
a lot of this
specifics.
sort
It
of
just
stuff.
says
He's away for a
yeah.
period.
Well, you remember that he stepped away. At
No, I
the
knew all
start of
that.
the
Yeah,
year.
I didn't. I've missed a lot of.
I would
footy this
imagine
week.
it's probably linked to that.
Yeah.
But the Giants, we talked about this on Monday, or Tuesday. The midfield
Why
is
Carlton favourites? So
because Finn Callahan's out and
Yeah.
Josh Kelly's out, and I don't know if they. I
Still.
feel like this game should be even.
yes, yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's a $1.70 Carlton favourites at $1.70.
Carlton have looked at that
supposedly.
though and gone Akers with the AC joint shoulder or whatever it was previously. Tom De Koning back. Doherty, they've gone. All right, this is now.
Everybody play. We got to win.
We need the experience because you're going to run into some inexperience through the midfield. We spoke Toby Green's going to probably do more midfield time.
Yep.
Remember when Toby was just a stats animal early days?
Yeah.
I feel as though the Giants, unfortunately, they're not in the best form ever. I think last week we said they're in great form because they beat Geelong, and then we did a bit of an audit on how they were going.
Yeah.
We all know I'm not a Carlton man,
No, we know that.
But you're on them.
but I think Carlton get this done. Yes.
What's Lekalia going to do? Because the guys coming out of Callahan and McMullen or McMuffin,
Yeah.
they're not going to.
McMuffin.
So that's another tall. So
That's another tall back. So what? Is someone else going to swing?
Himmelberg?
Carlton-
Yeah, well, Himmelberg's probably the one, isn't he?
But then
Wing
they've
or
got
something.
Cadman and Hogan up there, so someone's going to have to play.
Well, no, Himmelberg, but they could push to a wing.
I wouldn't be surprised. Himmelberg has gone wing a bit this year.
Yeah.
But even, they've got Curnow, they've got Big Harry, they've got...
They just want another body.
There's another body there. They've got...
Lewis Young.
Lewis Young. They're not small in the forward line,
No.
Carlton. So like, maybe there's just more hands on deck. But it's unfortunate for the Giants because I reckon they had something brewing there for a little bit.
Yeah.
They rode out the start of the season. Their stars weren't the ones suspended with the Mad Monday stuff, but they had played.
road
Remember
trip.
they were thin early too.
Yeah, they
which
were
is what
thin.
was- and they did well to ride their way out of that. I can see them running to a bit of a lump here,
So
unfortunately.
you think the Blues?
I think the Blues, mate.
I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I'll go the Giants. Just
Hawthorn $1.50 favourites.
This surprises me.
Brisbane $2.60.
Hey!
This
Hey, the MCG.
surprises
Big
me.
ins for the Hawks. Connor Nash, Jack Gunston, Lloyd Meek, Jarman Impey. No massive outs, although they did drop Kalshadir. Dev Robertson in for the Lions. And
Yeah.
Jared Berry. Kitty Coleman pulled up sore, so he's out. And Connor McKenna. So the ins are big for Hawthorn, and I think they're just going well. Brisbane aren't exactly going brilliantly
Just hasn't
either.
Devin Robinson's star fallen a bit over the last couple of years?
Oh,
Not a
he
bit.
made the wrong decision.
Yeah. He
should've
did,
gone- He should
absolutely
have gone
did.
to West Coast to be playing.
Because
Hindsight's 2020.
I'm not shocked that he's in this position though.
no.
Yeah,
Like
that's where he was. Yeah.
player 25 in a good team. Like it's where you're going to be in 2 years' time too, probably. Look, Hawthorn coming in. Connor Nash has served his suspension. Jack Gunston. I wonder, when you're in form, like think of Bryce Cotton, who's in the media at the moment. That run of points he went on,
We don't talk about Bryce.
and you're
Cotton,
like, don't sit out. And when you sit out for a week, and then I'm sure Hawthorn go, old Jack Gunston a week off, give the body a bit of time to recover. But just having a week off, you're in that sweet spot of form that he'd been in.
particularly at his age, you stop something and then it takes a long time to
Correct.
get started again.
I just wonder, and I wouldn't be surprised if we come in here on Monday and he's had 1 goal and 7 touches.
Subbed out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that just wouldn't surprise me.
Connor Nash is a big in. I reckon they missed him
Connor
a
Nash is
lot the
great.
last month.
Well, he's the one that can go to Noah Anderson up
Yeah.
at. He's that sort of big body where he tags, but he doesn't tag.
We're just
He's-
at the contest. He's huge.
He's big. He's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
It's a bit like what
And he hits
Collingwood
hard.
have done with Scott Pendlebury at times. when Pendles has gone to Paddy Cripps and stuff, it's just a big body. So no longer can that big beast just move people. You've got two beasts there just banging. He's a big in. I can't remember what number I came out with Hawthorn last
67?
week.
Yeah, sliding. You know.
I'm $2.60 for the Premiers at the G, where they have some pretty good memories. Makes my freckle twitch. Sorry, don't get carried away there.
No, that's good.
No, that's good.
So,
right?
no, it's
We
good.
like a twitching freckle.
Yeah, mate. Flex and twitch away. North Melbourne, $5.25.
Oh, these are the areas I like.
Outsiders
Jesus.
against Collingwood, $1.16. Marvel Stadium this game. Zach Fisher, Paul Curtis is back. Dersma and Bailey Scott are the outs. Will Hayes, debutant, Subi boy, and still Sidebottom is being managed / rested.
Still Sidebottom's not in the form he was in 3 weeks ago.
No,
Came to Perth, was quiet again.
got something out in
But
Perth.
yeah, he's a million years old.
But I think that they thought that was part of. Someone said after the game, it's worked perfectly. They got the points.
Yeah.
Rested 3 players.
Yeah.
And they technically rested Sidebottom
Perfect
too.
scenario
Sidebottom
for them,
came off and subbed out. Never again North Melbourne. We know the phrase, but always take them at the line. 31.5 point head start.
No.
31.5, mate. They don't, I reckon if you audited North at the line lately, I think it's been free coin.
Okay.
Free. Never again North. There's no chance of winning.
Except at the line.
They won their first quarter of football, first quarter last week, and I know I've got a bit of inside knowledge on this. Mick Barlow's taken the final warm up on the ground,
Rolling the balls.
and he does the podcast with Dylan Friends and Brett Delidio, and they showed Mick in the warm up doing his more intense warm up, and he introduced ground balls. Every club from Z grade through to AFL do ground balls in the warm-up, Nick. That's nothing special. That's nothing new. No wonder they're 0-9 in first quarter. The bastards. Anyway, I like North. I think they're actually going to be okay. They competed hard. I know they only just got over the line against Richmond. That could have gone either way. Sometimes you need to just tip that, get over the ledge, and once you get over, maybe you
Why
find a
can't
bit
you
of form.
quit them?
I call them
Yeah,
never
just
again
go
North
away.
Melbourne.
You keep going in.
I
Every
take
week.
the line. I expect them
can't.
to lose, but I expect them to compete.
What is the line? 31.
31.5.
I don't like it.
That's talking about upsetting me.
Okay, the next one. Let's go to Fremantle, Wallyallup versus Port Adelaide, Yatapulti, the Dockers. Very heavy favourites, $1.30. $3.50 outsiders are Port. That is Saturday night, Optus Stadium. Freo, no change. First time this year. Port Adelaide, Zirk Thatcher, Rory Atkins, Trav Bokin, and a debutant in Hugh Jackson. Radigalia, Lockie Jones, Josh Sin, and the big one, Jason Horn-Francis are the outs. So Fremantle decided that, Darcy pulled up sore after training, so he won't be playing at any level.
So why did you say it like that?
You don't believe him.
We
Mate,
talked
he's
about.
sore. You missed last week.
We
He's
talked
a big
about this
fella.
at the start of the week. It's a very difficult space they are in right now, where they're trying to navigate. Jackson wants to be the ruck, and it's becoming clear that he's the best option there. Darcy is a ruck. He can't really play anywhere else. They've invested a lot of time and money into both of these guys, but it's starting to look like he can only play one. And this week, it's an easier decision.
Will I get an apology at any stage out of you
I
two
don't
over
think
this?
so.
Nah.
But deep down,
Not
you
at
think
all.
you probably should?
Because the
no.
knee, you know, Darcy's knee,
correct.
and yeah.
We'll fall back to injuries.
Yes, of course.
We will
Yeah, with
stand
the
on the
knee.
hill and
Yeah.
say,
If
if
not
they'd
for the
both
knee.
been fit, this could have worked.
Yeah.
You know, we'll never know.
I say there's 5 letters in sorry. How many letters do you think should come out of your mouth?
Nah. Two.
Two? SO.
Less than
I
half.
wouldn't even get the S out. No chance. But because of that, I do like what the Dockers are going to put up. I don't even think Port are a chance. I don't.
Mate, they've been.
I'm not ready to believe you.
I mean, I'm just going by what should happen. It
Yeah.
would be very Dockery to
just
somehow
drop
lose
it.
this game. I don't understand how.
And no Horn-Francis.
Like Travis Boak comes out and gets 38 touches or something
Yeah.
in one
Yeah.
throwback game that he has.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no Horn-Francis. That's so disappointing. And we see it a bit over here in Perth. And I know he actually got injured last week, but we said the same thing about when
Ripped the
Collingwood
old
players
hammy
came
off the
over.
bone.
Yeah.
They're players you see once a year. And you hope
And
you
you
get the
wanna
best
see 'em.
version of them and you want to see them because I'm a neutral supporter. Like, I just want to see the best
Well, I
players
remember
play.
saying when
We're
Gary
calling
Ablett,
tomorrow night. We want to see
So
Horn-Francis.
Horn-Francis. Yeah, correct.
when Gary Ablett was at his best, and it was like, if you like football, you have to
Correct.
go to these
Correct.
games. Whenever he's in town, you have to be there.
It's a little bit like Nick Dacos when he's going silly. Like,
you just
it's
gotta go
Steph
there
Curry
and
in
see it.
basketball when you turn on. They've lost by 76 points, 90 points, 91 points this year.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
I think this could be one where Freo really gets going.
My same game is on that too.
Is it? Okay. Adelaide, Kuwana, $1.05 against West Coast, Walish Marawa, $9.50. That's Sunday, Adelaide Oval. No massive ins for Adelaide, no outs yet. Noah Long back for West Coast, potentially Bo Allen, Tyrell Dewar. Jamie Cripps and Matt Owies are out. Those are big losses.
Cripper had surgery.
Yes, knee. They're not their best 5 players, but but for what they want to play like, those 2 guys are pretty important.
I
to
do
Minnie's structure.
remember having a conversation with Embers at the start of the year down in Bunbury, and
About
he said
Matt
that,
Owies.
he said West Coast would win 8 games, and the main first reason was because of Matt Owies.
That was very funny. We got 20 minutes out of that.
We got 20 minutes out
I
of
think
it.
we went back to it every.
And I'm not
every
even putting
quarter.
sugar on it, am I?
No,
that was what he went with.
He legitimately, I reckon he wasn't listening to the conversation.
No, because we were dealing with.
Yeah, yes, that's right. There was an issue in the box, and I reckon he'd forgotten Liam Baker's name. Or
Yeah,
something
you're correct.
Like
And he landed on Matt Owies.
Matt Owies.
Yeah.
It was very good. Can you see West Coast getting within the line?
No, I can't.
They were good last week. West Coast.
No, they
Lions
were. They
50,
were.
isn't it?
50.
The Lions 50. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
all that. They're a different team at home.
Adelaide,
Whenever we
yeah.
speak. They are the team they were good last week against Collingwood at the G. Don't get me wrong, but I reckon they are the team that gets the biggest kick.
And
The biggest lift is
Yes.
playing at Adelaide Oval
And
in front of their fans.
Where key forwards tend to have been dining out on West Coast, and there's so many of them.
I would be worried for who's on Thriller.
Yeah.
Well, then who's
yeah,
on?
and then who's on Darcy?
And,
yeah.
is,
and then Tex rolls in.
Is it Harry Edwards on Thriller? Is it
could-
Sandy Brock?
it really could be a game where is Tex playing? Yeah.
Well, there was some suggestion he might rest.
Yeah,
but they
but
haven't named that.
No, they have. It could
He's in the team.
it could be one of those games where Tex kicks 7,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, Tex, because
Tex still got it.
he only needs 10
Yeah.
kicks.
Yep.
Anyway,
That is a tough matchup.
but no, I feel as though in Adelaide I have bad memories. In the warm up, I still remember running out. We had a good win there the year before at Adelaide Oval. Luke Shuey looked at me and goes, "Minimum 8 goals today, mate. A minimum." I said, "Oh shit, here we go." We were 8 goals down at quarter time.
That's what he meant.
Yeah, mate. I remember at quarter time looking at me going, "Oh God, what's happened?" Anyway,
Melbourne, Nam, $1.95 against Sydney, $1.85. So the bookies think this is the closest game of the round. Jai Cully might make his Melbourne appearance for the first time. Jake Lever is back, which is a big one. For Sydney, Callum Mills is back, confirmed. Hayden McLean amongst the squad, Taylor Adams potentially as well.
well, McLean will come in. Adams was really good in the twos last week. McLean will come in for a Marty suspension, you'd think.
Yeah, and Mills comes in
And
from
Mills comes in,
McInerney,
obviously.
and then you've got the Francis one, so that might be Taylor Adams or Ben Patton, depending. I reckon Taylor Adams looks like a man who might wear the sub vest.
Yeah, I
this
think
week.
I heard that Taylor Adams was a big chance.
okay.
And you imagine Melbourne, it'd be no change, but it's Jake Lever.
Jake Lever
Jake
has to
Lever
play.
has to come back in. So someone's going to be a bit unlucky there because
So-
they were really good against Brisbane.
This is a hard game to tip, though, I think.
Well, you know what I've said. Bintang's in the third
Yeah,
week.
but you've also reckon Melbourne's a bottom 14.
No, they are. Bintang's in the third week of September. I've got now for Melbourne.
we're
Sydney.
bumping up.
Yeah, third week.
bumping up.
Unfortunately, they'll lose a home prelim. No, I don't believe in Melbourne. I just don't. We always believe in Sydney, and if I don't this year, I think they'll be back again in future years, Sydney.
Yeah.
But I believe in Sydney more than I believe in Melbourne.
I can't wait to see Callum Mills out there.
I agree. Do you reckon he'll be a
Yeah.
sub maybe? He played half a game.
He might be subbed off.
Maybe that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Taylor Adams. I don't know. We'll see where the game ends up. He'll be on managed minutes, you'd think.
Absolutely.
He'll be any game he's on, probably on 65% game time
At
or
least
something.
he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we see him back because when he came back last year, it wasn't the
No, it
Callum
wasn't
Mills
the same.
version. So much so that it wasn't a big loss when he didn't play in the grand final.
Yeah.
Like
well,
it was,
Yeah.
They made the choice to not play him when he was.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Didn't
No,
matter.
but when
yeah.
he deemed himself
Yeah.
fit enough,
Devastation.
they still went no. So hopefully we see the version prior because he was a top 15 midfielder.
At his
Yes.
peak?
Yeah.
No,
Couple-
that one season,
top
he was
10.
top 5 midfielder.
Top 5,
that
you
season.
Top 5, you reckon?
That was it 2-3 years ago? Was that?
There was one season where he was a
Yeah.
top 5.
But you're forgetting that their top 5 means okay. Then in
I say
goes,
10.
Yeah, that's why I went.
But I'm
bit
not
broad.
talking best player. I'm talking best who's been the best that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not talking, well, Bond's had a down year, but you'd still take the Bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think we're forgetting how good like Bont, even when it's not Bont's best year, might be.
Yeah,
Well,
you look at him
he's
last
one of the
night.
other four.
Okay,
He's one of the other four. Okay, St Kilda, you're all $2.60 versus Gold Coast $1.50 at Sunday Marvel Stadium. No massive ins for the Saints. Hunter Clark, Zach Jones, the outs.
Hunter Clark, I want to see.
Jack McRae is out with a punctured lung, and Hugo Garcia got dropped. For the Suns, Ethan Reid is probably the biggest name in that collection of players. This is one of those games,
Sean
I reckon,
Lemons.
where we find out a little bit about Gold Coast again.
Yeah.
I know we say that every week, but I think we're just in a fact-finding mission with Gold Coast all year. So can they, after their impressive start and their Darwin trip, go
no
to St Kilda,
fact-finding.
play against an ugly St Kilda team that on their day can shut teams down or on their day can roll over? So we need to see Gold Coast be professional here.
They
win
will
the game.
pump the life
You reckon?
out of St Kilda.
Yep.
They were. What was a positive from St Kilda watching them?
Last week, nothing.
Ross's presser.
Sydney, Gold Coast. That is surprising that they're $1.50. I think everyone's still, as you said, you got to. Yeah, it's business like.
You got to
It's a
believe
dollar.
them. They're
I'm
figuratively on top of the ladder.
Yeah, I believe. I think 12.5 points against St Kilda. I don't know. I'm so out on St Kilda and so slowly coming in for a cuddle on the Gold Coast.
Didn't we say this for years? All they needed to do was change the logo, and then it happened. And now they're one of the best teams in the comp.
So you're telling me you're ahead of the game?
I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game in multiple things. I was looking at Mullen running around last night for Geelong and saying, "Look,
He's the best tagger in the comp.
hello."
I reckon if there were a club that would hire a vibe expert, it probably would be Gold
Yeah,
Coast.
yeah, correct.
Man, they should do.
Sit on the
Get me
beach,
in.
smoke a joint, have a bit of time.
I lived
Just quickly
in
on last
Broadbeach for a
night,
year.
Ed Richards, he had 2 touches early for the first 26 minutes of the first quarter, ended with 6 at quarter time, and I was like, that was a rough 6. Like Ocean Mullen had him covered.
Yeah.
Then it had 1 touch in the second quarter, and I looked and it was about 6 minutes left on the clock. Got going a little bit. He has to be nearly in the votes again last night. By the end of the game, Ed Richards was so good. Like
Particularly when they were coming back into it. Yeah.
third and fourth, he was amazing. Like what a player he's become.
All right, it's time for this week's hardball bets. Place the same game multi with TABtouch, boost your odds, and combine up to 16 legs with a single game into one bet. How did we go last week?
No, we didn't go. We didn't go great.
I didn't check mine.
No. Someone checks them for us, and I
hard to
usually
follow.
get the DM saying you
right.
blokes are useless.
Yeah.
But then last week was of course, the fruit. That was
we
the
went
16 legger.
16-leggers,
So
yeah.
this week I've noticed we've all slipped back into missionary.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
can find these multis under trending bets for that game's market on the TABtouch app. So,
Yep.
Zave, do you want to lead us off? What have you
Yeah, I'll go. So I'm going to do the Fremantle Port Adelaide game. And I've gone basic this week. I had $6.25. So there's no Lotus Leaf, there's no ceiling fans, there's no swings or anything happening here. This is just as basic as you'll ever get. But I always have to have Pat Voss in for a goal.
Love it.
Have you heard that actually down at Fremantle they have the Pat Voss Academy? Vossy runs an academy down there.
What happens in this academy?
He teaches people to
do what?
Football stuff. He runs an academy for the youth.
What?
Like, yeah, training. Before training, people join the Pat Voss Academy.
No, they don't.
I'm
That's
telling
not
you
real.
right now. I'm telling you there's a Pat Voss Academy.
What? Do they just run
He
around?
runs it himself.
They just celebrate.
Yeah, it must be. But he runs it. The old Vossy, the Pat Voss
I want
Academy.
you to kick a goal and I want you to run like you've never run before.
And if you can run into your teammate and injure them, do that.
yeah,
But
kill
I
their eyes.
hand up. I know he's become a popular figure. No one was on Pat Voss before I was on Pat Voss.
you were early.
I was
Yeah.
earliest.
Early investor.
So much so, and it was because of you ass.
Yeah.
It was because I hadn't seen much of Pat Voss, and we were calling the game, and I was like, oh, righto. Pat Voss had a shot. I said, it's great to see this young man. He's a strong lead-up player. And I can tell you what, guys, he does this part of the game really well, as exactly as you said. And Ryan goes, he's kicked 3 goals, 13 in his career, mate. I was like, it's all about throwing me under the bus. Ever since then, I've embraced this bloke. So Pat Voss for one.
And he sprayed it out in the full
Yeah,
too.
he went out the full. Went out the full.
Well, then it didn't register as a behind.
No, yeah, correct. And that made me think 3-13 and how many on the full. Pat Voss, Jai Amos, 1 goal, and Georgiades, your man, 1 goal, with a bit of Willie Rowley returning back to Perth, 1 goal. So they're all 1 goal.
Easy.
And then we're just going to go, just the stars. Wines, 20 disposals. Connor Rosie, 25 disposals. Brayshaw, 25 disposals. And Zach Butters, 25 disposals. So that's just it, because there won't be any tags in that game.
Look, none of that seems absurd to me.
No, and there won't be any tags. So it's going to be a pretty open affair, I would have thought.
$6.25. I like that.
Get everyone
Nicholas?
a-
I've just got to start Start clawing my way
your
back.
last one was $100 multi.
140, I think it went.
$180 in the end.
Yeah.
You've now gone for a
I've gone a bit the opposite.
$4.35.
$4.35.
This isn't even missionary. You're just holding hands.
Yeah, this is the blue light disco.
Yeah, this is a little peck on the cheek. So Adelaide West Coast, I'll go to Adelaide at the line, which is 50.5. And then Fogarty 2 goals, Thriller 2 goals, Jordan Dawson 25. I'm really just like as simple as I can get it here.
It's actually a pretty good bet.
No, I like it.
$4.35.
But having said that, did you not say out of great surprise that the line was 50 points for Adelaide?
Yeah.
No, I said it was 50.
Yeah, but you were surprised.
But you were sort of saying,
Was
it's
I?
really high. Yeah.
No. I'm happy with 50.
Because I thought I saw that and I was like, mate, now you're arguing against yourself for the
no,
later
no,
on
no.
part.
Yeah,
Do you mean the other way round?
Yes.
I thought Rhino was surprised.
Okay, I was surprised. I'm going the Carlton GWS game. Lockie Ash, 25 disposals. Sam Walsh, 25 disposals. Had a down week last week.
Yeah.
He'll bounce back. Either team to win by 24
No,
or less.
that's the fruit.
That's the
fruit. That's the fruit.
24 or less.
And then Darcy Jones a goal. $6.50. I can't pick a winner. And when I can't pick a winner,
Close.
I think it's going to be a close game.
I don't mind
Okay.
it.
So that's me. I think all of us.
we might actually
could
all
win.
come through this
This
week.
feels
Watch us come in on Monday.
Zero.
No, didn't look at it.
We're
No,
gonna
no
get
good. No good.
one leg straight. Have you got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
And we'll see you all back here Monday for the 2-minute warning. Catch you then.